The homeowner asks 4 different roofing contractors to submit estimates for her new roof. Only one of the 4 included and explained proper attic ventilation as part of the roofing project. Which estimate will the homeowner choose to go with? Hi there. Welcome back to another episode of our podcast, Airing It Out with AirVent. My name is pscelsi. I host AirVent's Attic Ventilation Ask the Expert seminars offered every winter to residential roofing professionals all across North America since 1998. A section of our seminars I especially enjoy presenting to the industry is the Overcoming Homeowner Objections. In it, we briefly role-play the homeowner and roofing contractor in a point-counterpoint exchange. 3 common objections from homeowners that we review are, why do I need attic ventilation? I've never had it all these years living here. Why are you the only contractor mentioning attic ventilation if it's so important? You're too expensive. How a roofing contractor responds to objections like these can be the difference between landing the project or not. To help us talk more about this, let's welcome to the podcast Shane Gotschi, co-owner of DryHome Roofing and Siding in Sterling, Virginia. Welcome to the podcast, Shane.
Hey, how's it going, Paul?
It's going real well, Shane. Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir.
Shane, you and your father and various members of your team have participated in the AirVent seminar. We sure appreciate that. In fact, you kindly gave us a testimonial that actually is the reason for this episode's topic. I'd like to please read that testimonial for our listeners. You said, after attending our seminar, Shane, this information helps me to separate from the competition. Shane, what do you mean when you say separates me from the competition?
So my objective is to separate myself and include information that I know a lot of it goes below the waistline when it comes to salesmen. Now, I approach a homeowner from a technical point of view as a roofing professional and then a salesman. So I have a checkbox in my head that I go through, ask them questions before I even inspect the home. I ask them about, do they have any issues on the second story, third story, whether it's humidity or heat, depending on the time of the year. Depending on my answer, I will give them a solution. A lot of new builds and a lot of roofs that I'm climbing up are original, and builders do not follow ventilation correctly. They just want to do the bare minimum. Fast forward, there are no home inspections after new construction. So 9 times out of 10, I already know that there's an issue with the home because of the builder. So I'll ask them the question, I'll get the answer, and that will help formulate me and how I'm going to approach and separate myself from everyone else.
I like that mental checkbox that you said you have. I like that idea.
Yes. Yeah, so I mean, the ventilation is one. The second one is I ask if anyone's explained it to them, and 99% of the time, Paul, it's a no. And I said, well, why not? Without proper ventilation, your roof's life is going to fast forward. Without proper ventilation, you're going to have humidity issues. Without proper ventilation, you're probably cranking up the air conditioning unit just to cool off the second or third floor. And they look at me and they're like, you know what, you're right. It does get warmer up there in the summertime. And then I said, okay, well, yeah, let me do a roof inspection. So after my roof inspection, most of the time we have brittle shingles or blistering shingles. And, I document that. I show the homeowner the condition of their roof. And I said, well, this is why ventilation is very important. Your roof's not breathing. So I will offer solutions based on the layout of the structure. So we know that we need an equal intake and exhaust. If that's not possible, and of course attic space, but if that's not possible, then most of the time I go towards the attic fan. I get inside the attic, I take a look around, make sure there's electricity there, because I want to set an electrician up for success. And I want to place it, of course, strategically on the home so aesthetically it looks pleasing. I go back and inform them, hey, you need this, or you know what, your system's fine with the ridge vent. You have equal intake. Let's not fix what's not broken.
Makes sense, Shane. It makes real good sense. Shane, we are purposely calling this episode Knowledge is Power and Profitable. Could you help us connect the dots that having knowledge about attic ventilation, for example, ultimately can lead to increased profits?
Oh, of course. So again, another, going back to it, my competition does not bring this up. They're focused on just the sales from a sales point of view and not a technical point of view. So I approach them and I say, well, listen, you have about 2 to 4 gallons of moisture that exits your home, and which way does it go? And most of the time they give me the answer, yes, it makes sense that it goes up. And I said, okay, well, if that moisture is trapped inside your attic, don't you think that's going to affect the condition of your decking, your truss? Don't you think that's going to affect the quality of the air on the second floor? Or even, damaging the inside of, going back to the truss. I'll poke my head in there, take pictures and say, well, look, this is why you have dark truss and dark decking because you're not getting rid of the moisture. When I separate myself talking about ventilation, I also include that, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, do you know that a shingle manufacturer requires proper ventilation? Building code is proper ventilation. This is important because if you were to have a roof warranty issue, you can get easily denied not having what is supposed to be on your home per manufacturer's installation guidelines. I also talk to them about the fact that if your home is properly ventilated, you're going to save money. So putting some money up front is pennies to the dollar of what you're going to save at the end of the year. Going back to the manufacturer warranty, if you're properly ventilating your roof, you're going to get a full 30-year on the lifetime of that shingle. And this is hypothetically if we're installing an architectural shingle.
Sure.
Yes.
Shane, you mentioned the 2 to 4 gallons of water vapor. For our listeners, the average family of 4, just by cooking and cleaning, breathing, pets, plants, that's about 2 to 4 gallons of water vapor in a day. And much of that rises into the attic, as Shane mentioned. Thank you. Shane, I also like that you said spending the money up front initially, more than is returned to the homeowner ultimately, because you're taking care of it on the front end. I like that.
Yes. Yes.
Now, Shane, go ahead, Shane. Yes. No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, my homeowners now see that I'm not just there for the roof. I'm there for the quality of their life. So then it gets to a personal level and they'll start opening up to me. It's kind of like breaking the ice. Because, you start talking about money up front, you're setting the expectations before they're not surprised at the back end and saying, oh yeah, by the way, you need to pay for an attic fan. Well, why? This wasn't explained. You didn't set the expectations.
Right. Shane, devil's advocate.
Yes.
The homeowner, let's say it's me, please. Look, Shane, thanks for the explanation. I just want the new roof. Let the attic ventilation be the way it was. Just give me the new roof.
All right. So I'm going to reply to you, Mr. or Mr. Homeowner. I can do your roof. I'm going to have you sign a contingency that we're not responsible for the failure of your roof. I cannot put a warranty on my contract if there is an issue, because without proper ventilation, you're going to have an issue, whether it speeds up the life of the shingles or you consistently have improper ventilation and affects the structure. So is that okay, Mr. Homeowner?
I like it, Shane. Shane, in your experience, I've talked to other contractors. I'd like to hear from you, please. Does that disclaimer get the homeowner over the fence often?
100%. 100%. Then they start backpedaling and start thinking about, well, okay, so can you go into more detail? And I said, well, absolutely. Here's the building code. Here's the manufacturer's installation guidelines. So I give myself credibility, and it's not just hearsay. I'll steer them into doing some research on their own, because a lot of folks now have the Google right in front of them, and they I know you can find anything on Google, but that information is out there. It's not it's not made up. They're all shingles, all shingle manufacturers, all homes need some form of ventilation, and they know that.
Dan, you and I talked offline to prepare for this episode, this conversation today, and I sensed during that preparation phone call that you view your knowledge as a difference maker. And Shane, I'm not just talking about the success you and DryHome Roofing and Siding are enjoying. I'm talking about the finished roofing project you're delivering to the homeowner. And you've already touched upon it a bit already today. Your knowledge is helping you provide the best roofing project possible. Shane, for the roofing professional possibly listening to us right now, who does not currently routinely include attic ventilation in his or her estimates, what would you please say?
I would tell them that, what's the point of going to an appointment if you're not going to be 100% knowledgeable on what you do? If you're not going to have that confidence, if you're not going there with that knowledge, you're not going to have the confidence. Of course, homeowners will get several quotes 90% of the time. Referrals, yes, I understand. But if you're going up against competition, it makes sense to separate yourself. It makes sense to have more of this knowledge in your arsenal and also back it up with facts. So going the ventilation route is not just focused on the roof, because most homeowners don't think that way unless you bring it up. So then when you're bringing it up, you're educating them on the roof system. And it makes sense once they realize that, that does make sense, it does get pretty warm up there. All the dots start connecting. And then it gives them a peace of mind that, this guy does have something, more to say than the last contractor. I want to hear more. I want to see him again.
All positive things, Shane.
Yes.
Shane, any tips you'd like to share with roofing professionals who might be struggling with overcoming homeowner objections and possibly view the entire interaction as something to avoid? Maybe it's just not their comfort zone.
So something I can share to get them over that hump. I would say, if you're ever confident about something you're passionate about, you usually know, like if it's something you're passionate about, whether it's a sport, whether it's, cars, whatever it is, knowing everything about it gives you confidence in having a conversation with someone about sports or a car. Same thing applies to this, being a roofer. The more you know, the more confidence you'll have, and homeowners pick up on that. If you're not confident on what you're selling, the homeowner will pick up on that. If you're confident, and of course passion, there's got to be passion in there, that will make you sleep better at night, knowing that you did everything that you could possibly do without being a salesman, but coming from a technical point of knowing more than the next guy.
I like that, Shane. I like that you mentioned passion. Of course, you got to have knowledge. Shane, is there anything you'd like to share with our listeners beyond the power and profitability of knowledge, or more about that? Anything you want to just share with our listeners in general?
Yes, I will say that again, this is a high number, but 90% of your competition out there is singing the same song. So if you to separate yourself from everyone else, add this to your knowledge of arsenal. Build this confidence. Know what you are selling. Know the installation inside and out. Be three-dimensional, not two-dimensional. Think about everything of a structure, a home, before you have an answer. Look at the layout of the roof. Poke your head in the attic. Prepare yourself to have this conversation and back it with facts. So after you look at, do your inspection, look at everything, you already know you've got that ammo in your arsenal with ventilation. Now apply it to what you're actually seeing. Go in with confidence and you'll get the job. Like I said, 90% of folks don't think outside, or two-dimensional. They don't think outside of just the shingles themselves. This knowledge will gain you the edge that your competition does not have.
Hey, Shane, thank you very much for being our guest today and sharing your in-the-field experiences and your perspective on the power of knowledge. I've really enjoyed this conversation. And I want to say thank you again, giant thank you for your very kind seminar testimonial. On behalf of AirVent, the roofing industry, and homeowners, thank you, Shane.
Thank you, Paul.
It's more than just a catchy saying or slogan. Knowledge is power and profitable. Put your knowledge to work for you and your business. It's a win for you and your homeowner customers. Well, that wraps up this episode. Please leave a review on YouTube or whatever platform you used to listen to this episode. Be sure to let us know if there's a topic you'd like us to cover in future episodes. Maybe you'd like to be a guest one day like Shane was a guest, or maybe you know someone who would make a great guest. Drop us a note on the podcast page of our website, airvent.com. You can also reach out to us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, now called X. And please come back for more Airing It Out with AirVent. I'm Paul Pscelsi. Thanks for listening.